One final thing in terms of just the management of what you do with your life. You're running 3 very big companies. You have very big stakes and ownership control of 2 of those at least. What is your succession plan if you suddenly can't execute what you're doing, both in terms of who runs the companies, but as importantly, who votes those shares in terms of what happens longer term and strategically? What have you got a plan for all of those?
Yeah, succession is one of the toughest age-old problems. It's plagued countries, kings, prime ministers, and presidents and CEOs for since the dawn of history. There is no obvious solution. I mean, there are particular individuals identified as that I've told the board, look, if something happens to me unexpectedly, this is my recommendation for taking over. So in all cases, the board is aware of who my recommendation is, which they may choose to. It's up to them, of course. They may choose to go a different direction, but there is in the worst case scenario, this is who should run the company. The control question is a much tougher question, and something that I'm wrestling with, and I'm frankly open to ideas, because it certainly is true that the companies that I have created and are creating collectively possess immense capability, and so the stewardship of them is incredibly important. I want to make sure that the stewardship is ultimately accrues to the benefit of humanity. That's the idea, is the furtherance of civilization. Not that we're always successful in that, but that is aspirationally our goal. I have one idea which is sort of partly in place, which is to create kind of a sort of an educational institution that would control most of my vote. But this is not a case of automatically. I'm definitely not of the school of automatically giving my kids some share of the companies, even if they have no interest or inclination, or ability to manage the companies. I think that's a mistake. But it's a very hard problem to solve. And then who should be on the board of directors of the educational institution is also a very, very hard job to solve. So I think probably some disaggregation of control would make sense. I'm really just kind of thinking out loud creatively here.
But it sounds like it's something that you need to get planning of who those people are going to be, because as you've said, when you look at SpaceX, you look at Tesla, you look at Twitter, these matter to society a lot. Yeah. And having the right people to take those votes on the future of where they go and where money gets spent is fairly important.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the goals of the companies, the achievement of those goals varies considerably in difficulty. The original goal of Tesla was to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy, which actually I think we've done that to a significant degree, and it's kind of auto industry CEOs to often acknowledge Tesla's role in accelerating electric vehicles, so that I feel has a lot of momentum. There's still solving self-driving, which we're aspirationally hoping to do this year, and so Tesla's got a long way to go, but the execution plan is relatively clear. That execution plan will generate a lot of positive cash flow for the company. So it's a fairly obvious thing to do. With SpaceX, it's a harder problem because the long-term objective is to make life multiplanetary with a self-sustaining city on Mars, which is likely to be very cash flow negative at first, and very much a long-term. Let's just say the target market on Mars is small. You got to think long-term here.
You're also going to have to get on very well with those you go with, I would imagine.
Yes, definitely. Sanity will be a prime requirement for and stability for traveling to Mars. You don't want someone going nuts and opening the airlock in the middle of the night.
Right.
So, so anyway, so SpaceX is a harder problem because it's much a long-term goal and with a lot more money lost along the way. So got to make sure that that happens.
And is that the sort of thing, just to stay on SpaceX, and we'll go to Twitter and Tesla in a second, but is that the sort of thing that you'd like to lock in to the goals of SpaceX, that Mars remains the ultimate ambition of this, come what may? Is that important to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's to make life multiplanetary such that, and the key threshold for multiplanetary is that if the supply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, that Mars does not die out. That's the critical great filter. If you talk about things in terms of the Fermi paradox, the great filter is Mars being self-sustaining without any resupply ships from Earth. Until we reach that point, we're really just a one-planet civilization with an extension. But at the point at which the planets are self-sustaining, or Mars is self-sustaining, then even in a worst-case scenario of Earth civilization either dying with a bang or a whimper, then Mars would have a much better chance of surviving. So the intent here overall is to ensure that the light of consciousness, which appears to be just a tiny candle in a vast darkness,